Okay, I think we're live. I'm kind of confused here. Oh, it went live and showed earlier. Sorry guys, this is the first time we've gone live with a scheduled thing, and the way that it does it is a little confusing. And we were just talking for like a minute or two, realized we're not even live.
Okay, seems like we're live now.
I think we're live now, but there's like probably 20 seconds there of just us going.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it showed. I'm not sure. I don't know. So we'll check that after, and we'll try to make it smoother. But
all right.
This is new stuff.
Yeah.
And today we're going to talk about the Imago Technique. And welcome to the Stream of Truth.
Welcome to the Stream of Truth. Yes, I am Dr. Tassel Faith Shamebrook.
I'm Sean Kelly.
And yeah, we're going to talk about a really profound, super helpful, very easy, straightforward communication technique called the Imago Method. And we're going to also talk briefly about how we came into using it ourselves, why we thought it would be helpful, our experience with it, and then we're going to do it live with an actual real topic that has been a little tricky between us. And then we're going to also just talk about how we see this as really very helpful in terms of our own spiritual ascension process in general, this particular technique. So should we first show the images?
Sure. I just wanted to say we did talk about this technique on Monday.
Yeah.
So if you want to check that video out, the link should be in the description. We went through it, but we didn't have the slides. We realized that there were some visual aids, I guess, that we wanted to show, so we wanted to talk about it again. And last time it was more like a very loose discussion, and this time I think we're going to go through it a little more
methodically.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, check that out if you'd like. And welcome Hawaiian Hauntings.
Oh,
we are live.
Yay!
We're happy you can watch this too, my friend.
Thanks for joining.
So I guess we'll just switch right into the images. I have a slideshow that I put up. Hopefully everyone can see it okay. You might want to bring up your laptop there.
Yes.
And basically we'll just go through the slides and hopefully it looks all right. And so it starts with the sender.
Okay, awesome. So the sender is the individual who would like to talk about something with their loved one or coworker, can be in any relationship. And the first step that the sender initiates is to just ask if this is an okay time to talk.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like a courteous thing to do.
Yeah.
And then I think, like, going into it, obviously you want the other person to be aware of this as being the right.
Yes, that.
Yeah.
Maybe you have already talked about this Imago Dialogue. It's called the Imago Dialogue.
Although, even if they are not participating in the dialogue, you can still do it.
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
You can improve your listening and communication to them a lot, I think, and as well as your expression to them, and get that into a place of clarity, even if they're not with you on it.
That is such a great point. That we can model these types of communications with other people, even if they're not doing it themselves. And most likely they'll start to
probably do it too.
Yeah, they'll kind of probably see the efficacy of it.
Hi, Jamie. Thanks for joining.
Hey, Jamie.
And together. I'm in Nashville.
Yay. Oh, so glad you're here, Jamie. Yay, this is so fun that we're live and people are here. Okay, so first thing, we ask if it's okay, and then they say yes or no. Hopefully they say yes, or you said a later time. Okay, then the next thing I think, which is also so lovely, is you share a positive statement. So anything you like I really appreciate you. I'm really grateful that we can talk about this. Thank you so much for the amazing time we had last weekend. Something like that. Okay, and then you talk about the topic at hand. And so this would be great to just use in general helpful communication practices, focusing on your own experience, using I statements, I felt, I thought, I experienced. So basically focusing on what your individual experience was in the situation.
Yeah, trying to remove any judgment or casting of blame of any kind. Like, you may feel that they've done something wrong and that you blame them, right? And that may be your internal state, but speaking in that way is not generally going to lead to constructive return. So part of the way to move through that is to do this way, sort of let go of some of that blaming, and really what you're trying to do is explore your own feelings.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Just really focusing on what your own experience is without projecting possible assumptions or intentions on the other person. Of course, it's okay to say, oh, when you did this is what I experienced, but not like, you always act this way or you are inconsiderate. Those types of statements, not so helpful. Okay. And then we're going to go over what the receiver does in a minute, but the receiver is going to basically repeat back what you have said and then also summarize what you have said. So you listen to the repeating back, you listen to the summary, and then your partner also is going to validate and empathize with what you have expressed. So after you do the sending, you're really just offering any clarifications. You might add a little bit more to what you said. But at this point, you're mostly receiving the receiver's response to what you've shared.
Yeah. And especially the first time you do it, it can be a little awkward. It can feel a little forced and stuff. And so try to be patient with each other, because it's kind of weird. And I know for me, I have difficulty summarizing what somebody just said to me.
Why do you think?
Oh, I couldn't be sure.
Yeah.
I think I don't retain the words as well as the energy or something.
Oh, okay.
So the words sort of float away.
Yeah.
And I just I remember the feeling of what I got from it. And that type of thing. I think I'm just sort of wired that way.
Yeah.
So for me to then repeat, especially if it's a fairly long thing,
yes,
I get very lost in trying. So
that was one of the things I noticed when we've been doing it, that I noticed
I miss stuff.
Or not to say too much. Kind of say a paragraph.
Yeah.
And then let the other person repeat back or summarize, and then you can say more, just so it isn't so much information for the other person.
Yeah, I think I have a tendency to distill the sentences into like just concepts.
Yes.
And so then when I try to recall the sentences, I'm like, I just recall the overall concepts that were given.
Okay. Can we move to the receiver
yes,
slide,
ma'am.
Which is really powerful. Okay. So the receiver is just the person who is listening to what the topic is. So when they are invited to talk, of course, they can say yes or no or a later time. And as the sender sends the positive statement, they can also, if they choose, send back a positive statement. And then, okay, to me, this is the most exciting part of this entire method. So as the sender is explaining their experience with this particular issue, the receiver is listening, actively listening. They're just listening. They're not saying anything until the sender
And that's
stops.
hard.
Yes.
I interrupted a couple of times, not interrupted, but tried to interject and be like, oh, well, and try to defend, and like these instinctual sort of things come up. So for the receiver, you have to try to just sit and just hold space and just let them finish and then repeat it back. You're not interested in correcting them.
Yes.
Or correcting their perception, or like a lot of times there's misunderstandings that's happened. So the sender is saying, I experienced this, and then you want to say, oh, I didn't mean to do that. That's not what I meant. But it's not the time for that.
Yes, and what you do is you switch roles.
Right.
So at that time, then is the time that you can say whatever feels important for you to say. But yes, so this is a great practice to learn. even when you want to say, oh, that's not what I meant, or that wasn't my intention, you just wait, you hold space.
Yeah, you sort of have to realize that even though it wasn't your intention, that was their experience of it.
Yes.
That's what they got out of it.
Yes.
And they have to have some time with that to move through that and understand later that maybe there was some miscommunication, and usually that's what it almost always is. And
Yes.
in a lot of relational type things, it's
Yes.
almost always miscommunication. That's
Yes.
why we think this is so powerful.
Yeah. So there are some key phrases that the receiver can use, and these are just examples. You can, of course, say anything you like, whatever feels resonant for you. But some of these phrases I think are really powerful. One of them is, what I heard you say is.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have been using that with me, I could almost faint. It's just so delightful to hear you say that you really listened, and you're not being defensive or anything else. You're honoring what I said and repeating it back to me. It feels amazing. Other phrases, did I get you? Is there more? So we said this on the last video, but there's really just this theme, this thread of curiosity.
Yep.
That you are utilizing with each other. You're curious about what your partner is experiencing.
And sometimes the person that's receiving, they may not quite be ready yet to move into these, like they could be perturbed by what has just happened as well, right? So sometimes it's difficult for them to want to engage in this type of activity because they're sort of frustrated and irritated and stuff like that. So in those states when people are both a little frustrated and irritated, you can certainly use the method, but it might be a little bumpy and stuff like that. People getting a little tongue-tied, and because they're upset basically. And
yes.
So it's hard for them, at least for me anyways, it's hard for me to move from an irritated or frustrated state to then start speaking praise and being loving and all that, because I'm in a negative state.
Yes.
So we need to come to a balanced state if we want this to be smooth, but I'm not saying we can't use it in in the middle of a conflict.
Yes.
I just think
I think what you're saying is it probably does work the best when it's not in the middle of some heated exchange where emotions are really intense and raw.
If your boyfriend just starts flipping out on you for flirting with a boy at a bar or something, and you guys are screaming at each other, and then you go out to the parking lot, and then you're like, let's do the Imago. I doubt that that's going to go very well.
Now, I would say to your credit, we used this the first time when we were in the middle of a bit of a tense interaction. So to your credit, you were able to shift and try this out.
I think with the right intention and like a safe space that it can be done, but I would just say that it's generally, in my estimation, a little better to approach it from the balanced place.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything gets a little jumbled. And the good thing about doing it though in the conflict is the receiver starts to notice that they're also not understanding why they're upset. The other person's upset. So there's like miscommunication happening on both ways. They're realizing they didn't really get it either.
Yes. It really just boils down to a simple technique to really understand each other. To not be talking at each other, but to actually take some time to listen, repeat back. It's just down to basic fundamentals of communication.
Yeah, and when we go through this, it seems, to me anyways, it seems totally common sense.
It's totally common sense.
It's not common sense.
Yeah.
It's
well, because our emotions tend to overtake us in these types of...
we get emotional and we get upset and
triggered.
And we don't listen, and then we hear a little phrase.
Yes.
Like I think I said, I don't even care about something. I said, I don't care about that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she thought I was saying I don't care about her, I don't care about the relationship, right? And I didn't mean that at all, but obviously, I just spoke a little flippantly about a thing that we were talking about.
This really encourages precision in communication.
Precision, right.
Yeah.
Trying to be precise and clear with what you say, and then also safe like non-judgmental.
Yes.
Just hearing each other, and then hopefully after everyone says their side, both people can at least have a somewhat understanding of each other's orientations.
And I have continually said about this that the topic that we tend to talk about, or different topics, seems of less importance to me. It's really, for me, feeling heard.
Yeah.
That feels so lovely and affirming to our relationship. It feels like the topic itself, we'll figure it out. But the way we talk to each other and feeling heard and listened to is really, I think, one of the fundamental aspects of a healthy relationship. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll just finish up this image with the receiver. The step number 4 that the receiver does is after they mirror back, they then summarize.
Yeah. And
there's some great phrases here. If I got it all you said, or maybe the main focus of what you're saying is, and then again asking, is there anything more? Did I get it all? Do you want to do the next step?
So this is the validation. So basically, this is where you're going to try to frame what they've said and what you've interpreted from it, and try to empathize with it. Well, I guess this isn't empathize. Validating and empathy to me is sort of the same.
Yeah.
So it's sort of to me, it's sort of a combined 5th and 6th step. But you want to validate that you hear what they're saying and can understand, and that they make sense. You help them feel not crazy or weird for feeling the way they feel. And if you don't fully get it, then try to ask questions, clarifying questions around, like if help me understand, can you say more about this or about that?
It's putting, in a way, yourself in their shoes. Like, I can see how you could have experienced that. That makes sense, what you're saying. I get it.
Yeah.
It's really putting yourself in their shoes of their experience of the situation.
Yeah, and this part, I think, is just also the last sort of spot where you're clarifying, like, am I getting you? Do I understand you? This is sort of what I've gotten from it. And
yeah, is there anything else you want to communicate about your experience?
Yeah.
And then the last step is the empathy piece, where you might say, wow, I can imagine from this experience you might be feeling this.
Yeah.
Is that how you are feeling about this? So getting into their shoes about their feeling state.
Yeah.
To me, it's just really interesting why this does feel so wonderful.
I think it forces, if you go through it and try to really commit to it, it forces people to get out of their issue and sit with the other person's issue and give them the attention.
Yes.
And the other person feels that.
Yes.
And so if the one listening and receiving is intentional and willing and participating, they're going to feel welcomed and accepted and be able to express. It's going to feel good to get off their chest. They're going to feel heard.
Yes.
So they're able to release whatever energy they're holding in that's negative and hurting and painful, discomfort, or uncomfortable. They're able to sort of release that and feel like it's had a meaning of some kind, and that another person's understood it.
Yes.
So I think
it's something about this human desire to be understood, to be heard, to be understood, to be empathized with.
Right.
It feels very primal.
Yeah, and I think most conflicting or argument type discussions, or discussions around a problem or conflict, challenge, whatever, often are one person saying, understand me, listen to me, and then the other person saying, understand me, listen to me, and no one's listening, really.
I feel
Not
what
truly.
happens is it becomes uncharged. It diffuses the tension.
Yes.
Because even when we've done it, I've seen even bodily language from you of you kind of being like, oh, I get it. Like I could see that just in your body language without you even saying anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think you end up seeing that in your partner, that they get it. Maybe for the first time, you might have been talking about a certain issue for years.
You may have been saying it for forever, and they've never heard you.
They've never really heard you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. They're like, I don't think we really learn how to do this properly.
We don't
learn this stuff. We don't.
Yeah, so we don't know.
Especially as kids, we're talked at a lot. We're not asked a lot of questions about how we're feeling.
We don't experience this usually as a child.
Yeah, most children are kind of, go over there, Sally. And then they don't really say, Sally, how do you feel right now? What would you like to do right now?
What is your experience around
Sometimes
this?
that happens. That's great. But a lot of times we're more oriented to just say what we want, what I feel, what I want.
Yeah.
Here's how I see it.
Yeah.
And we're not really listening to other people, generally, unless we go in with that sort of.
This is really just a tool to actively listen.
Yeah, it's so
That's
simple.
all it is.
It's so simple, but it's awesome.
But it's so profound. Should we look at are there any questions?
Basically, some people are Jamie and Hawaiian Hauntings are chatting, and Hawaiian Hauntings said, well communicated, guys. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. We're doing our best.
So I think the next thing we'll do is a demonstration.
Oh, yeah.
Does that sound?
This will be, okay, so I'll just say that I've only done the actual technique one time, and so I'm also not a super expressive person when it comes to my own emotion or even like, things like that. So I'll just preface that and with that, and I'll do my best, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, awesome. So should I say anything about the actual topic, or
sure? Yeah. They would need context otherwise.
Okay. So this is a real topic between us. When we first met, and we live in different countries, I don't know, it's kind of embarrassing to talk about, but it's okay.
It's embarrassing for me too.
Yeah, okay. It's embarrassing for both of us.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why it's good to talk about it. I had sent Sean a little package, because I think it was over Christmas time, with a little gift and a letter. And I think I said to you something like, oh my gosh, I would love to get a letter from you. It'd just be so great. Something that you've touched. I just would love, because we hadn't met yet, and with the COVID situation, we didn't know when we would meet. So I asked you to send me a letter, basically.
Yeah. And I didn't.
And I don't think we knew how to talk about it, basically.
I actually, I would say that when you asked me for it, I didn't understand how much you wanted it.
Yeah.
I didn't fully get that either. So, but yeah, that's the gist of it, is that Tassel wanted to have a letter, something that I'd written on that she could keep, that was physical, and I've never written a letter, I don't think. Like maybe when I was a teenager, I wrote something in class or something.
Yeah. That was not in your sort of sphere of reality.
Yeah, so like when she first asked, I had a lot of thoughts of I don't understand, and I didn't really say anything about it. I don't know. I didn't really register to me.
Yeah.
The first time.
Yeah.
So that obviously, she's like, I asked him to do it, and he just ignored me, right? So that's gonna start to cause stuff in you, and I think that's where it began to show up, and then we had another conversation about it. It still didn't. I don't think we ever really resolved it. You just let it go, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're at a point in our relationship where we're cleaning out any old wounds, and that kind of came up the other day.
Right.
So that's the context, and we'll just we'll do the Imago Method now.
Yeah, I think we
did do it already, but we didn't actually get to every step. We didn't get to validating.
Yeah, we did talk about
and
this already.
Okay.
But we thought it'd be good to do it on the stream.
Yeah.
We'll go through all of it. I don't know if I'll do the switch.
Yeah,
maybe we'll do one.
Maybe just one side.
Because my experience of this is, I don't have much of a issue or any wounding.
Yeah.
I just I would like to serve you in a good way, and so
thank you.
You know, so I don't have anything to really bring up unless that changes. I'll let you know.
Okay, awesome. So I would say, okay, I'll just start doing it. Hi.
Hi. Fancy seeing you here.
Fancy seeing you here. You know that whole letter thing between us last year?
You're supposed to start with something positive, milady.
Well, no. First, I'm requesting the appointment.
Oh, we were requesting. I thought we did that. That's we just agreed.
Okay, I didn't know we were in character though.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Would it?
And scene.
So that whole letter thing last year, I was just wondering if now might be an okay time to talk a little bit about that using the Imago Method.
Now is the perfect time to talk about it, especially with how alone we are.
There's so much privacy.
We are so private.
About this embarrassing topic for both of us, in a way. Okay.
It's embarrassing for me because I didn't do something so simple, and I seemed like a dick.
Okay.
That to me, I feel like a dick.
And that's partly why I would like to do maybe a little bit of your side, because you have some experiences that were coming in your stories.
I do have a story on my side.
So there's a reason why.
Yeah, there is.
You weren't just being a dick.
No, I wasn't. I know it could look that way.
Yeah,
so
and that's why
it's embarrassing.
We try to do this both sides to clear up the misunderstanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start. Now I'm going to say a positive statement. You are awesome, and I so appreciate you listening to me and just trying to work these things out. I so appreciate that.
You're awesome, and I like how.
So much. That's all you need to say. You don't need to say anything more.
And scene.
And see. No, but you can say more.
What I hear is that you were craving a physical object, a letter, but what I'm hearing is the real issue wasn't so much the letter itself. It was the way that you felt that I responded to it, which made you feel judged. It felt like something was wrong with you for desiring this thing. It felt like I was not hearing your request and just sort of maybe ignoring you or not respecting or honoring your desires.
Yeah.
And likely because it's a fairly simple thing, that could be really confusing too for you, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Around like, why won't he just do this little thing? It'd take him 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so, is there anything of that I missed?
No, that was really good.
Okay.
That was a great mirroring of what I said.
So where are we at?
And then you would summarize, although you kind of already summarized.
I thought I did.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna validate. Right?
Yeah.
So it does make perfect sense to me that you'd feel this way, that you'd have these confused I'm a strange person, and I don't always do what one would expect them to do. So,
yes.
So I'm sure that threw you through a loop, and I also can imagine how it would be embarrassing. I also can definitely empathize with the feeling of judgment, because I think at that time I really did sort of disregard your wants and needs. I think I did not properly show you, I wasn't open to even doing what you were asking in a sort of way.
Yeah.
So I can empathize with that. If I were to ask you for something that I thought was simple and I would love it, and you just sort of ignore me, obviously that's gonna suck. Right?
Yeah.
And then if I try to talk to you about it and you right, and it seems still disregarded, then you start to feel like something maybe is wrong with me, right?
Yeah.
So I can empathize with all of that, and it's tough. That's a tough situation. So
yeah, thank you. That was amazing. Thank you so much. And then you maybe Have you already empathized?
I think I did there.
Okay.
I said
Yeah.
I imagined.
Yeah.
Like I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could feel what it would be like, and I've done it. We've all had that experience where we've
Yes.
asked someone, our mother or our father or somebody,
Yeah.
boyfriend, girlfriend, brother, sister, for something, and they've just ignored us.
Yes.
And we feel like, we're not heard, etc. Yeah, and then I mean, a lot of times too, what we want is ignored from our authorities, right?
Yeah.
So we get, we feel a lot of being ignored and not heard. So so I know that feeling well. Yeah.
And maybe the last thing you might say, is there any last thing you want to share?
Is there anything else?
Only because there's one more thing I did want to share.
You kind of whispered it there. Yeah, please. If
there is just one last piece of it, is that, and I think I've already communicated it, but it felt so vulnerable for me to ask you for the letter. And it definitely was my childhood experience that it didn't feel safe to ask for anything, and I wasn't responded to. And it felt like this was a bit of a expansion for me to be vulnerable and to ask. And so that just also made it sort of tricky.
Yes, I think I specifically sort of remember you saying that you felt like you were guided to ask.
Oh,
is that right?
Did I say that?
I think I recall.
Yeah, I think that probably was true. It felt like
an expansion,
an initiation for me. Like, you can ask for something.
And I can imagine how it would feel to feel led by spirit to do a thing.
Yeah.
And then just hit a brick wall.
Yeah.
This.
It did really make me question the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
I didn't know that. It made you question the relationship. You never said that.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, because it seems like a basic thing would be to be heard and to be responded to if it's not such a big deal. And mostly just to be able to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it did. That, I would say, of anything that happened between us in the beginning, that was, to me, kind of a red flag.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to switch maybe just briefly? Because your side of it, I think, is really interesting.
Yeah, sure. I can, sure. So how do we do that again? I'll go back to the receiver. Actually, let's just go back to the camera here. There we go. Okay,
yeah, so you would just say anything, this is what I was experiencing, I felt, I experienced, and then I'll summarize, validate, and empathize with you.
Excellent. So, I think I need to add a little context for everyone else.
Yeah.
So, most of my relationships with women have seemed to, in my experience, to revolve around them complaining about me, without me having what I saw as a clear way to keep them satisfied. So, what ended up sort of coming from that was eventually a wounding and a trauma built around my sovereignty and my unwavering, stubborn sort of, I decide, and there's also a part of me that doesn't like to respond to any sense of desperation. So when I can perceive someone saying, I really need you to do this for me, I sort of want to say, no, you don't. That's sort of my natural response, is you don't need me for anything. And I can step into a sort of higher perspective or something where I can see that none of us need anything, and that there's a little bit of an illusion happening or confusion happening in the person that feels that they need anything. And so I sort of don't resonate with that, and then I have that wounding where I feel like women are basically just constantly trying to change me. Everything I do it's never seemed to be good enough. There's always a problem. I'd fix a problem, and then there'd just be another one. There's always some problem. And so that was part of it as well. And so I was sort of I guess I questioned the relationship a little bit too, because you brought it up a few times, and I was like, I can't do this again. So I guess I did too. Now I think about it, I was like, I can't do this where she's like trying to get me, pestering me to do this thing. I clearly am not super into what she wants. So why doesn't she just leave it alone?
Yeah.
And you know, that's a kind of it's a response that's imbalanced in the respect that I was holding on rigidly to my free will and sovereignty and not seeing an opportunity to be of service. So I could very simply write a nice letter and send it to her and just like doing that. She's not trying to force me to do things. She's not trying to change me and stuff like that. But at that time I was still wounded in that way, and I still probably am. And I can get triggered when I feel pushed into anything at all. Yeah. So if anyone's pushing me to do anything, I will usually not do it.
Yeah.
I'll like, it's almost better to just let me go about my stuff. Although I need to expand in this and be able to receive requests for things a little better. As it's when I receive the requests where I'm taking it as like I've done something wrong and stuff.
Yeah, a critical.
Once it feels a little critical or whatever, I'm like, forget it.
Yeah.
If it's just an open, easy request and there's no trauma and pain and negativity or judgment, then it's a little different, and I'm like, I'm more open to provide it. But if I feel like I'm being criticized a little bit, I just sort of go, whatever.
Yeah.
I just say it's your problem then.
Yeah.
But that's like I'm trying to shift that, because it's not always appropriate, and a lot of times I'm hearing criticism that is not really there.
Yeah.
So that was my experience of it, and then I guess I did mention that I didn't understand the physical and the writing, and I didn't get it really.
Right.
To me, I could just write an email.
Right.
It's like the same.
Right.
To me, but I do see there's obviously a difference, but I don't have that sentimentality to physical objects.
Okay.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, really anything. I used to have a little bit of it with some technology that I have, but I let go of all that. So
I want to ask you a question, but are you doing the dialogue right now with me? So
I was just explaining my experience on my side.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to respond, you can, of course.
Is it okay to say what I heard is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I heard is you have a history, a story with women in your life that they're trying to change you and force you to do things. And when I asked you to write me a letter, that request fell into that story. Yeah. And especially if there's, any hint of criticism in the request, that really makes you retreat completely. Did I get it all? I'm not sure.
Yeah, basically. I would like to clarify that the initial request I felt nothing about.
Okay.
I didn't feel criticized. I didn't feel demanded of. I didn't feel like you were needy or anything.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like that at all. It didn't really register.
Yeah.
It was after, when it became an issue for you.
Yes.
Then I felt criticized.
That
and
makes sense.
Then I stepped out of it.
Yes. So it was really when it felt to you like I started being critical that you really then retreated and didn't want to have anything to do with it.
My orientation on this type of thing is, if you'd like somebody to offer you something, or you would like somebody to do something, you ask them and then leave it. Mm-hmm. That's sort of my orientation. They'll do it if they do it, and if they don't, they won't.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how I see it. To keep pushing it, to me, feels like infringing, like forcing.
Yes.
So that's how it ends up feeling for me.
Yeah.
But I'm also just very sensitive to that. So,
yeah.
So because of the old wounding. So
yeah.
I think that's really the only thing. So even if you do want to ask for it again, can do so, if or not. Obviously, you could say and ask for anything you want,
Yeah.
however you want. I'm just suggesting that if we do it where you sort of try to highlight for me how important it is.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't understand the importance.
Yes.
And not criticize me for not doing it in any way.
Yeah.
Just say, I know I asked you about this. I just wanted to let you know. I really, really, really would like it.
Yes. Yes.
You don't have to do it, but I really, really would like it. But even like that, I still feel a little pressured. So I mean, it's something I'm working on.
Yeah. So what I heard you say is basically what we're doing in this dialogue is just focus on my experience and not criticize you or make assumptions around your intentions or whatever, but just tell you about my experience of wanting the letter.
Yeah, when you started to say stuff like it feels like you don't care, and I think you said some stuff sort of like that.
Yes.
And like it's a letter, it would just take you a few minutes. You could write it right now. You said stuff like that, I think.
Okay. Maybe.
I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, I felt, criticized. I felt.
Yeah.
It felt like you were saying my intentions were not pure, that I
Yes.
didn't care about you,
Yes.
and these types of things.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't care about you because I didn't write a letter.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is bananas.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's how I took it at that moment.
Yeah.
It's not bananas, but at the moment, I was like, this makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah.
So, but later on, and when we just talked about it the other night, I was able to see it differently. I've cleared a lot of that. Also, you being so accepting and non-judgmental of me has given me space to feel comfortable and safe. And even if I do feel like you're judging or something, I can almost realize, she's probably not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm probably mishearing. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I can totally understand how you felt in that situation, that you felt that maybe I was criticizing you, that I wasn't taking no for an answer, that I kept bringing it up, and that was, unpleasant and frustrating for you. Yeah.
It's a mixture of things, because I wanted to be able to give you what you wanted. I like you. I love you. I want you to have what you asked for. But just the way that it was all happening, I was like, I don't know how to even give it. I don't want to do it this way.
Yeah.
I don't want it this way.
I think just a little insight about that is that if we were to talk about something like that now, we would more use this kind of infrastructure in the communication.
Yeah.
And I think normally now when we do talk about things between us, we do focus on just our own experience and our preference, trying not to assume intentionality or make conclusions about why the other person is doing this.
Yeah.
And that, I would say, has revolutionized our communication.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because we truly have no concept of why anyone has said anything that they've said.
Yep. Or done anything they've done.
We really cannot evaluate their state by observing their actions. This is why you can watch a person look very happy and then they can later take their life, like later that week, and they just look perfectly fine all week. You cannot assess a person's state or what their intentions are, but the mind thinks it can. Projects it.
The mind often thinks, well, this is how I would respond in this situation.
Or
why can't you?
Or this is what I've seen from others that have acted this way or said these things. This is the experience that I expect.
Yes, we're either projecting often ourselves onto someone else or other people onto this person.
Yeah, and so when I said I don't really care about this.
Yeah.
Or that, or and you're like, oh, he's saying he doesn't care about us.
He doesn't
care about the subject I'm talking about. He doesn't want to hear what I'm saying.
Right, because that's my old story that no one cares about me.
Right, and then on my side, I was just being a little flippant and quick with my words.
Yes.
I wasn't trying to say anything like that. So but yeah, we all do that. So if we can try to not go down those roads, not try to interpret the actions and what they're saying and what they mean and all that. Let them tell you that after, but
yes, be a bit scientific in a way. Like, okay, this is what they said. This is exactly what they said. I'm just going to keep it clean, and I'm not going to read into any of it.
Yeah.
And until I hear from them,
yeah,
what their intentionality is.
Yeah, it's like when a gourmet chef serves you a meal. You can think of the meal as the sentence. You don't immediately get salt and seasoning and do all that, right? And spice it all up with. It's considered rude. It's considered,
Yeah, it's so easy to distort, basically.
Yeah.
What someone has said.
Yeah, take what they've said
as
what it is.
Yes. Okay, they said this. I don't know beyond that. I don't know.
Yeah,
and that's why we talk about just being very curious in these conversations.
Yeah, and your intuition also pipes in with things too. So you have to kind of distinguish, because your intuition can offer a lot of really valuable insight to what they are meaning, if you can hear the intuition over the mind.
And over the possible woundings you might hold and the stories you might hold.
Right.
And
the heart is feeling a pure communication from the other person and knows what they're saying.
Yeah.
The mind is what messes it all up.
Yeah.
So if you can quiet this a bit, just really feel it, then you can have a very intuitive, guided sort of experience and more purely, I think, hear them.
Yes. And just to sort of accentuate what we're saying, my doctorate is in marriage and family therapy, and I've counseled so many couples throughout my career, and communication is generally the most important thing that I see between couples, and what can either build up a relationship and really support a relationship, or really injure and break down a relationship. So
I would even say that this technique, and I think we said this earlier, it's really applicable to any conversation.
Any conversation you're having with anyone at any time.
Where you want to get out some of your feelings with someone. Like, this would be, I think, very useful for parents with their children.
Oh my goodness, yes.
As long as their children are old enough to sort of follow along and understand it. They'll grow up with this modeled receptive, reflective, mirroring communication technique and active listening, and they will be superheroes.
And it really is just about taking the time to understand the other. That's all this is.
Yeah.
It's just taking some time to understand the other's experience.
Yeah, stepping out of your focus on your experience just for a moment. It's really, you're gonna be okay.
And I said this in the last video, but I want to say it again. To me, this feels like one of the highest forms of love towards another is to give them that gift of taking that time to understand and listen and putting yourself in their shoes. It's just, I almost don't care what else you do. Like, if you I feel like you're trying to understand me, that is so sexy.
Sweet.
Hot. So awesome.
I'll come in with a robe and I'll be like, what I hear you say is...
Oh, and I'll faint. I'll faint from pure delight and excitement. Yeah, it's amazing. And then just a couple other points I'd like to say. One point is that doing these types of practices with each other is really just part of the, I don't know what the right word is, work of a relationship. That sounds kind of onerous, not like we want to work, but just part of the hygiene of a relationship.
There's an effort to
it. The effort you put in, the investment. How about investment?
Investment, yes.
Yeah, I like that, because that's better, because you do get such an amazing return.
There's a return on your investment.
And it's exponential, right?
Yeah.
The benefits of a healthy relationship with someone are amazing. So this, I like that word. This is an investment that we make in our relationships.
And the interesting thing about the word investment is when just as esoteric weirdness that I'd like to bring in.
Please.
When a higher density entity is supporting another's evolution, that is called investment.
Oh.
They invest them with more wisdom or light or whatever.
I love that.
So you could think of like a human having a pet animal.
Yeah.
The third density human is investing in the second density animal to help them realize the spirit complex, which will then formulate their self-identity.
Yeah.
And prepare them for graduating into third density and to become a human or go somewhere else.
Yeah, whatever. That's so beautiful.
But yeah, it's the same thing. So when we think of it that way, when I'm listening to you and putting in that investment, I'm helping you expand. And when you do it for me, you're helping me expand or invest in each other.
Yes. Right? We're investing in each other and in our relationship.
Yeah, and holding that space is sort of giving a lot of love, I think.
It's so... Honestly, it's the most loving thing I could receive from you.
Because I think part of it is because in those moments, we're turning away from ourselves, our inner selves entirely, and focusing all of our attention on them.
It's so intimate.
Yeah.
It feels so intimate and loving, and it's better than sex.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Let's not get carried away.
It'd be cool to combine the two of those. Like, that would be amazing.
Larry David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He combines the Imago Dialogue with his intimate life.
He talks during sex.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, so he's like, that's a nice coffee table. This weird
Right.
random stuff.
Yeah. But like, if you threw in a what I heard you say, I would just be like, that would be amazing.
You're like, oh my God, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Should we hit one last point?
I got lost in where the points.
Oh, no, we're all good. Is it possible to bring up that image of the underlying principles of this awesome method?
You had said we might not get to this one.
Yeah, I thought maybe I'll just share one of them.
Yeah,
Is there something you want to share?
2 and 3 are, I think, very important.
Yeah, do you want to highlight it yourself? Talk about it?
So we've talked about it a lot, but I'll do number 2 then. Maybe?
Sure.
Each partner is a mirror reflecting the undeveloped parts of the other. Now, I agree with that when it's there. I think is a fairly a purity that can be achieved where you're not only seeing the undeveloped parts, you're seeing the developed as well. It sort of depends on your awareness and your expansion. But it's true that while there's distortion in yourself, you'll see that in the other. It's a reflection of your own issue. And I'm just reading this a little bit, sorry. Each partner will miss the parts of the other that were repressed or neglected in childhood. Each partner will be hurt by the defensive character adaptations of the other. So basically, our traumas, not to go through all of it, but we come into the relationship, we're holding some traumas, we have distortions, we have confusion about ourselves, we have parts of ourselves we don't accept, things about others that we don't accept, which is truly parts of ourselves as well that we don't accept. There is no other, so when we don't accept, when anything about anybody or the environment, we're saying we don't accept ourselves, and that becomes very clear in the mirror. And then we become uncomfortable, and that's when these sort of things start to come up. And I believe that this representation of what's actually occurring, I was actually kind of surprised to see it laid out this way, because it directly aligns with my metaphysical understanding, and that's rare to see in a scientific, therapeutic,
yes,
more medicinal,
clinical
type of work.
Psychotherapy. Yes, that's what I think we both were struck by.
I was like, oh my God, this is exactly how it works. How do they know?
Right. When we read the underlying principles of this method, there are a lot of what we talked about in the twin flame journey.
Right, yeah.
Or it doesn't have to be the twin flame journey, just any relational journey that you're on.
This is what you're doing.
Yeah. And some of the principles that really stuck out for me were the first titling, the unconscious purpose of marriage is to finish childhood. Is to really work out, hopefully heal through, expand the wounding and what happened in your childhood, basically.
Yeah, I think our soul knows that in order for us to properly progress here, we need mirrors,
Yes.
right? We need to be able to see our reflections.
Yep.
So we tend to form relationships that will do that for us.
Yes.
And I do think, like you said, it's an unconscious finishing up, like all the trauma gets built in childhood, and then into the adulthood. The goal is for the human to learn how to see the reflections and then adjust them in balance. And heal their wounding.
Yes. And so the third point here about conflict is seen as an opportunity for growth. So I feel I was socialized to think, oh, if there's conflict with my partner, there must be something wrong.
Yeah.
This can't work, or there's something wrong with us, something wrong with him, something wrong with me, it's not going to work. But taking this perspective, no, quite the opposite. We have brought each other in to have these situations come up between us so that we can look at what's going on internally, look at the stories, look at the wounding, talk to each other, do our own inner work, and just heal through that and expand through that. So it's really a blessing. It's a blessing to have these situations arise between each other, because it's a calling for an invitation for our own expansion through these previous woundings. So totally. It's only good. Although it can feel uncomfortable and it's not always easy, but just taking that perspective, it's a complete game changer of how you see your relationship.
Yeah, and if you can take that perspective and apply it to everything.
Exactly. Your relationship with your parents, your coworkers, your children, whatever, could at times feel challenging, that, oh, this is helping me.
Yeah, everything's helping you. I actually wrote a little thing that goes, let me just bring it up because I'd like to read it.
Great.
So I wrote this to a guy who was talking about how he was saying every meal he has is his favorite meal.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right? So that he said that he doesn't always get to choose what he eats, but he can choose to enjoy and love everything that he does eat.
Beautiful.
Right? So he that way he's always happy about what he gets because it's always his favorite.
Yes.
And so I responded and I said, it's my favorite thing to cry and be in despair, as I am aware that this will allow me to see the picture with more clarity. The tree is my favorite. Those flowers are my favorite. It is my favorite thing to be with those I love at a funeral honoring a lost loved one. It is my favorite when it rains and nature is fed. It is my favorite when I feel accepted and loved. It is my favorite when those I love reject me. Everything is my favorite because everything contributes to my growth and evolution. And so I don't know, I just really felt like that encompasses sort of any conflict at all is for your growth. So you see it, it feels bad, you can go, yay! Something's gonna happen.
Yes, and we talk about this a lot, just the bit of the toggling between the human perspective and the higher perspective.
Yeah.
So in any of these situations, we can honor both perspectives. The human might be like, oh my God, this is so painful, this is so hard.
Honor that, yeah,
I don't like this at all. And then the higher perspective is, oh, this is amazing. This is going to help me so much. There's going to be expansion. And just and it seems like that's the work, or that's the investment maybe, of our incarnative experiences, is that, gosh, we are human. There's going to be a whole spectrum of feelings, including pain.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's all for our own soul's evolution.
Yeah. And
so just honoring all of that.
I'll share. I don't think I've ever shared this with you. I don't know if I've shared this with you or not. A lot of times when I'm getting very frustrated or upset or whatever in the human, I will channel Ka and ask just brief, like, is this how it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
And they will always respond literally the exact same sentence. They say, this is appropriate.
Okay. Yeah. So in other words, we came here to experience this human condition.
Yeah.
The
ups and the downs.
Yeah. That's the adventure we're on.
One thing Ka did say is when we are calling for them and crying for them and asking for them, they're there watching, sending love and all that, but we're not hearing it, and they see the situation as appropriate. The higher self sees the situation as appropriate and not to be intervened with just because the human is upset,
Yeah.
it's appropriate for their growth.
Yes.
And
yes.
so, you know, they watch, it pains them in a way to watch
like
the suffering.
Parent with a child.
It feels like a wound on the knee or something.
Yeah.
Right? To the higher self. And so they are called to it and they pay attention to it. Because they feel the wound fester.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they will come but you have to then come out of all that negativity to then experience that, because they can't get through the negativity. So that's in those despairs we can feel totally alone. And we're not, they're right there. So I've found that to be really helpful.
And an added benefit of what we're talking about is it does seem that if there's sort of an ongoing difficult situation in your life, when you do make peace with it, surrender, accept, have gratitude for what it is bringing you. Yeah. I have experienced often when I really reach that place of gratitude, it's magical. The external situation shifts. I've experienced that many times.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just the thing with the airport.
Yes.
She did a video on it. We'll put that up.
Yeah.
We'll upload it today.
Yeah. With the thing with the airport.
Yeah, but basically we went through exactly this, and she felt all her feelings, and then magic. So but she'll explain all.
It's a great story. And maybe I'll just make two more last points here that I think are really powerful. In the principles that the Imago Method outlines, they say neither partner has been able to hear the other because often the pain and longing is expressed in the form of criticism that then triggers defensiveness. So I so love this because I love the idea of as within, so without. So as you were talking about the letter situation, I think at times I was criticizing. So I was giving that type of energy, and then I was met with, basically it's match. Defensiveness.
Yeah.
So when we are able to speak with gentleness, with patience, with lovingness, then we're going to receive that back.
It's also easier not to criticize when we've sort of released expectations as well.
Yeah.
I find. So sort of knowing our preferences, but also being okay if those preferences aren't met.
Yeah.
So we can we get less pointy at the.
Yeah.
Stop pointing at them because they're not doing the thing that we want.
Yes.
But
it's just fascinating to see that immediate energetic balancing. Oh, I'm being critical and now I'm receiving defensiveness, or I'm being loving and now I'm receiving understanding. It's just, I think it's so magical.
Yeah, I have challenge even asking for anything.
I know.
I don't really do that.
Do you want to on camera ask for something just for fun?
No. Not really. No, I don't. I don't know what it is. I don't.
Yeah. I'll just say it would be really exciting if at some point that happens.
It would feel not real. It would feel like my human, I feel I wants this, that, whatever.
Yeah.
But as soon as I notice it, I'm like, that's not really. It's fine.
Okay.
So, but I can voice some of those.
Yeah. Oh, my human might want this.
My human would enjoy a coffee after this.
Yeah.
There we
totally.
Go. Can we get a coffee? Will
yes.
you get me a coffee?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much.
My human would love to provide that for you. I'm going to make one last point here, and I love this so much. It's the very last sentence of these principles. The unconscious agenda of both partners is to help them move to the next level by pairing them with someone with whom they will be confronted with their most challenging growth stretches. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Does that sum up some of our relationship or what?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Oh my goodness. I love that so much.
Yeah, and that's exactly sort of what we were saying earlier with you pair up with people that are going to show you
the stuff that your soul wants you to grow through.
Yeah.
And at times you're like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Is there something wrong here? No, it's perfect. This is an accelerated path to your expansion, to be with a person who's going to mirror this the stuff to you. It's amazing.
And we'll have people come in and out of our lives at varying places to do exactly this.
Everybody is a teacher. Every person, every animal, every situation, everything is a teacher to us.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Is that a good place?
I think that's
to
it.
Conclude.
Yeah, it's an hour and 10 minutes or so.
Okay.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. Hope you guys liked it. I know that we started a little funky. I think we'll try to make that a bit smoother, but I don't fully understand what even happened. So we'll see how it looks in the video in a minute. But.
And our plan right now is Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. We will be here live streaming at noon Eastern.
Yeah, so we're going to try and schedule it, have it those 3 days at noon. We were trying to do 5 days a week, but what we found was like we were basically not having space to do some of the other things that we're trying to launch. So what we're doing for now is just taking a step back a little bit from the stream. So we'll still be doing it a lot. 3 days a week is still a good amount, I think. And then those other 2 days we'll spend on some of our other things.
And ideally we might do 4 days a week.
We
or
do
5
want,
days a week.
yeah. I think
we like doing it.
We like doing it a lot, so we want to do it a lot. That's part of the thing is we like it so much. We spend a whole bunch of time on it. And then we don't have time to do the other things. Like our website's been semi-made for the last
few
weeks.
Please go to our website, but please forgive us for.
It's under construction.
It's under construction.
It's not horrible. It's got some stuff there, but it's it needs work. And we have other projects we have a project that's basically ready to launch that we're not done because we've been busy doing other stuff.
Because we like to talk about these things. We like to stream.
So that's sort of what we're planning on doing. So I'm going to try and schedule those the day before, so you should see them pop up and you can subscribe or click the bell to be reminded when we go live.
Yes.
All that stuff.
And if it feels resonant, if you liked what you saw, if you can like the video, that helps our work.
Or share it with anybody.
Oh yeah, sharing it.
If you have a partner you would like to annoy with it, then you could send it to them, like without context and stuff. Like that.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
The graphs.
Yeah. You just send them some homework. But
wait, what did Jamie just say?
Jamie said the website's looking good though.
Thank you for checking it out.
I think it looks pretty good. I think
it's a little work.
But it's under construction. It's not finished. There's some stuff that's not really placed properly.
But thank you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate the positive feedback.
Thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah, and please subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And there is one other video that we filmed on Monday about this Imago Method.
Oh yeah, the last stream.
If you want to check that out.
Yeah.
And we will see you on Friday, hopefully, with another scintillating topic.
Yeah.
We might talk about crying.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Take care, everybody.